week, given it's your first finals appearance?
Yeah, I suppose the one focus we've tried to make this week is just try to keep it as much business as usual. Like, we've got some guys who've tasted it before, some guys who haven't, but I think probably a lot of clubs are in that boat too. So, we came in Monday night, reviewed the game as normally. It's probably a little bit more of a lengthy review given we're playing the same opposition 2 weeks in a row. Last night we had really good competitive session, like Wednesdays where we pretty much go at each other, and we'll back off the boys tonight and roll into Saturday. So yeah, our focus, business as usual, just preparing for it as it's any other game.
What do you think you gained from the game against them last week?
Yeah, it was a little bit of it's a tricky game when you play the same opposition 2 weeks in a row, especially when the next week's a final where those consequences are so much higher. So, you play your cards a little bit closer to your chest. There's a couple structural things that we might do a little bit differently, but I think for us the main thing, we take some confidence that we can play well on that ground now. We spoke about last week how I think since I've coached the club, we haven't got within 10 goals of Lonnie up there. So, it looked in the last quarter, it was going to be a draw for a while, which would have been an even odder result given the circumstances. But I think we take that confidence that we know we can play well on the ground. We travelled up really well. We changed a couple of things in our travel, what we do, which seemed to work. Boys were switched on, and it's that confidence of a good performance on that ground and knowing all we need to find is one more goal. So we've been looking around for it this week. We've had a look around. So hopefully by 1 o'clock on Saturday or about 3:30 when the game's finished, we've found that one more goal and get a good result for us.
Bolstered by the fact that you guys were so competitive even without Davies and Lovell.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose for those guys, for Lonnie as well, Jay Blackberry, Dylan Riley and Fletcher Seymour didn't play as well. So, but we feel those ins of ours, Davies, Lovell, also Lockie Godomski and Ollie Burrows-Chang, that sort of hopefully cancels each other out. So, it's going to be two really good teams going at it. Bring those ins back in, and it's going to be an exciting game of state league footy.
What does it mean for you guys making it to the finals?
Yeah, it's really good. It's just a testament for our footy club for the work that people have put in over time as well. Like, we can't shy away from the fact that 6 years in the comp, we haven't had much success. We've always been down around the bottom two sort of teams. We've been spent about the last 18 months really changing culture, changing habits, trying to really become a professional state league football club on the field and off the field as well. So it's just that really good reward for people, not just the guys who are playing and who get to wear the jumper, but the people who've put in a lot of time over the footy club getting it up and running. To see us play finals, I know there'll be some smiles on those people's faces, which is really important. We've got to reward that hard work with some finals appearances.
It's one thing to play finals, but in terms of the naysayers that talk about that fifth team making finals, and then if you guys were to bow out week one, there'd be a lot of people jumping on you saying blah, blah, blah. What would it mean to progress to the next round to really stick it up there?
Look, I think at the end of the day, we're focused on what's right in front of us, and that's not really motivation for us. Look, we've got a final five, so we've won enough games to qualify, so we deserve our spot. So, we've won the games we're meant to win. We've finished fifth, so we get a chance now, and everyone's back on 0 points. It's a new season. Anyone can win it now. Like, it's up for grabs. So, final five, we're in it. We've won the games we're supposed to win. We deserve our spot. So, we're going to go up there and try and put in the best performance we can to make some noise. And if that sees us progress to week 2, that's great. If it doesn't, that's just where the cards have fallen this year.
Who gets Thorpe, your Polish fullback?
We tried a couple different matchups. Will looked at him a bit last week. Blakey McCulloch spent a bit of time on him as well. So we'll just see how that goes over the next 24, 48 hours, what we think. So, we've also got to worry, if Dylan Riley comes back into that team. I think he kicked 4 or 5 goals against us last time. Jay Blackberry got a hold of us. So it was those two that got a hold of us, not Thorpe. Alec Wright kicked 4 last week. So, we've got to get our matchups right across their forward line, which is pretty dangerous as well. We're not totally focused on Mitch as one player. Like, it's a collective effort up there, and, we've got to do a job on all of them.
Are you bold enough to say who will get Riley and Blackberry?
I would look at probably our small defenders. Sam Rice would probably go to one. Lockie Godomski potentially another one. They're sort of those matchups that matched up on them last time. So it'd probably be a couple of those. So I think there's no secrets with any team. It's the fourth time we've played them. Everyone knows how everyone wants to play, what your matchups are. No doubt they'll send Ryan Till to Elijah Reardon and Tut Hill to Luke Graham like they have the last two times we've played. So it's just a matter of producing on the day.
The midfield matchups or the midfield battle's going to be a doozy. Will you start one-on-one or will you and then go to plan B if somebody gets off the chain, or do you have a plan straight off the bat?
We'll back our mids in to get the job done. It's two really good midfielders. So what Lonnie do really well is they spread hard forward from stoppage. They put us to the sword, especially up at Windsor Park the first time we played them. I think they had a 9-goal quarter against us. And I think about eight or nine of those goals were from midfielders, like Fletcher Seymour pushing hard forward, Joby Harper pushing hard forward. So we've got to get the job done inside, make it hard for them to get out. They like to get out the front of stoppage. So, but we'll back in Lovell, Matthews, Clifford, Ollie Burrows, Ching. That they've got to play on them too. So, Marcus Gardner going against Hamish Leedham will be great as well. Huey Johnson coming in there in that matchup too. So, it's no secret in any game of footy if we can win it in the middle, get it in our area. Those inches or those yards, especially in finals footy, they'll mean everything. So if we can get the ball in our area, let our forwards do their work and get their pressure game going too, it'll really help us.
From what you've seen out of this group this season, mate, what makes you really confident that you can go a bit deeper into September?
I just think they're a really, really tight group. They know their roles, they know what they need to do. So I think we've been a pretty settled team this year. Yes, you have to make changes here and there when you have injuries or suspensions or something like that. They just feel settled and they know their roles, which is really pleasing. And we've been able to experiment a bit in the back end of the year, putting some guys in different spots. So now if something does hit the fan, that we've got a plan A, B, and C as well. And I think the guys have got the mindset to really change on the fly. I think even though we've lost our last two games, it's 9 points and 7 points. So we've had a bit of adversity in those sorts of games, and we've been able to dig in and stay in the contest where we might not have played our best footy. So I think they've matured a lot over the year, and they're really tight. And I think that means something when you come into these big games. You look at a group like Lauderdale; they're a really tight group. That you can tell that they care for each other and their mates, and that can drag you over the line in big moments. So hopefully that's what our group's growing into.
Here we go again, mate. What's the feeling in the group coming into this year's campaign?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of excitement around the group, and I suppose a lot of anticipation going into finals. The boys are pretty upbeat.
Well, he's given to you a couple of times this year. How are you thinking about them entering a pretty important final?
Yeah, look, I suppose the last game didn't go to plan. They played some really good footy, and more on the back foot a fair chunk of the time. So and we let a couple of guys get off the chain a little bit, where we certainly didn't try and stop that. We sort of let that go and try to back our blokes in, whereas normally would probably throw a couple of shutdowns in at different stages through the game. But because we couldn't change anywhere on the ladder, we decided just to let that flow and let our boys keep playing footy.
You were pretty disappointed with the intent last time?
Yeah.
You had 2 weeks to think about it?
Yeah, look, I think the last game, we still got a lot of the ball. Our disposable let us down, which obviously kept us on the back foot for a large chunk of the game, whereas, normally our skills are up and about and we're hitting targets. I thought it was probably skill-wise, probably the worst game we've had for the year. But I thought the enthusiasm in the game and throughout the game was pretty good. We just let ourselves down and kept bringing them into the game, and we're chasing them. And when you're chasing Glenorchy, it's not much fun because they're quick and they get through the lines really well. So we just need to sharpen up a little bit with our skills.
What is it about Glenorchy that seems to bring out the worst in you?
We played them down at home, had a good win. I think they beat us by 9 or 10 points in the first game out at KG5. KG5 has been a bit of a tough ground for us. I don't know why. It's just a football ground, but we just haven't seemed to be able to get over the line down there. And the same with them down at Lauderdale. They haven't been able to get over the top of us for years down there. So I don't know. I think it might be just a mindset. But we've had a lot of troubles out there. But we play at Belrive this week, where we've had over the last 3 or 4 years really good games and played the ground really well. So we're certainly looking forward to get onto a really nice deck and playing some good footy.
Where are you guys sitting in terms of ins and outs? I guess the big question is with some of those big name players.
So we'll get the 2 Devils boys back, which to have those guys coming back in at finals time is really good for the competition. And some of them have had really good years. Some of them have just got through the year and played okay, and they get another opportunity now at TSL level to, I suppose, put their case forward to get drafted if they finish the season off really well. And it's happened before where players have come back and finished the season off really well. So they're 2 big inclusions with Shaw and Matt McGuinness. Both of them have played really well so far, so that's been really handy for us. Bryce Walsh will come back in. He's trained for 2 weeks now. I think Josh McGuinness might be maybe 1 run short. We had a plan that if he trained for 2 weeks that he would come back in. He's probably missed the Monday fortnight ago, so we don't think he'll play. He'll be named, but I don't think he'll play. He'll certainly put a case forward this week tonight to try and get into the side, but we probably won't play him. And Robbie McManus just tweaked his ankle again in the mud on Monday night. Not bad, but he's probably about 70% chance. He'll be named as well, but he'll. We're not sure. We'll see how he pulls up tonight. So we could be 5 inclusions, but I'd say there'd be definitely 3.
So what did Robbie do?
Robbie did.
Yeah,
he rolled his ankle 2 weeks ago. So he started training last week and rolled it a little bit on Monday. So we're not sure how he'll pull up. But he's come along okay, but he's probably only about 70% at the moment. We don't want to take injured players into the game, so I doubt whether he'll come up.
Nice to have Walshy back in, mate.
Yeah, Bryce trained really well. We had a practice match on Tuesday night, played really well, back to his aggressive best at training and that sort of stuff. So having your captain come back in is a big bonus for us.
Right into it. Who's
That's a good
coming in
idea.
this week?
This week we'll get Jay Bowden will come in, Tim Butterworth will come in, Brodie Rowbottom will come in, now potentially Ben Camrick, but that depends on how he goes tonight and how he pulls up tomorrow. So that's one we've got to weigh up. Got to make sure that he's good to go, or else we don't want to take that risk.
Is Jay 100%?
Yeah, it's as close to as he can, but no, he's good. He'll be fresh and ready to go.
What's does his addition mean for your side? Obviously, massive.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy. He makes life a lot easier as a coach because you can swing him through various roles, but he also reads the game really well and makes adjustments out on the field himself. So it's always good to have Jay in the team, that's for sure.
How do you look at this weekend's matchup? Two sides that have had an up and down couple of months of footy. And what did you take out of last weekend's drubbing, disappointing performance against North Leinster?
Yeah, I mean, I think every team's probably been up and down to a degree, and that just reflects the fact that there aren't really any teams in the comp you can take lightly. To win, you've got to play pretty well, and there aren't many teams anywhere that play right at their best week in, week out through an entire season. So this game, I think it's 2 really good teams and 2 teams that match up pretty well. 2 teams that try and do the same thing but do it in different ways. And so it makes for a really interesting counter battle in terms of us trying to negate their strengths and them trying to negate us. So I always look forward to the games against Lauderdale. They're really willing, they're good hard contests, but they're 2 really skillful teams as well. So yeah, I mean, finals is a new season. I don't really take anything from the games anywhere during the season now. Like it goes up another half a level when you get into finals. The intensity's high. The weather's going to be really good for footy. So it's a great rivalry, and we get to do it again on Saturday.
You mentioned intensity then. I don't know, you said, you don't look at the regular season matches now, but was that something that was lacking against the the Bombers last week?
I think for us, like when we're playing at really high intensity around the ball, we've got that real work rate to apply pressure. The second and third efforts, we're a really, really good team because we force a lot of turnovers when we've got that, and then our ability to move the ball off turnovers is excellent. Obviously we've got some good targets ahead of the ball when we do that as well. So for us, it's no secret. It's always been the case that when our pressure's really good, from 1 to 22, we play well. And, for both teams, that's going to be a real key this week.
I'm going to ask this question anyway.
Yeah.
It's fraught with danger. On paper, you've had Lauderdale's measure this year. Does that mean you take a little bit of something out of that coming into this game?
I think I'm reading different paper to you, Brez, because what's happened for years is Lauderdale have won at Lauderdale and we've won at KG5.
Same paper, you played them twice at KG5.
And that's what's happened this year.
That's why I said
I don't agree with that premise at all. Like I said, I think it's two really evenly matched teams. I think when we've played on the really tight ground at Lauderdale that they're used to, they've had the better of it. When we played on the wide ground at KG5 that we're used to, then we've had the better of it. I reckon Bellerive sits somewhere between the two of those, so it's almost like meeting in the middle. And so I expect it to be a really good game. It's Cam Duffy's 100th game, which is something we're really, really excited about. I sort of look back during the week. Since I've taken over coaching, there's been 2 guys that have played every game. Who do you reckon they are?
Cam Duffy?
Yeah, well done. And Cal Daly's the other one. And so for a ruckman who's in his 5th season at the club to be at 100 games, it tells you how durable he is. Even though, looking at him, you wouldn't think he's perhaps built as the most durable fella. He's someone who works really hard in the gym, works really hard on his recovery, does all those things. So it's a great testament to him that he's got to 100 games so quickly. And a kid coming down from Cairns, it's a fair shock to his system. He tells me his power bill was about $3,000 the first year he moved down here. But he's really become a huge part of our club, and so we're really excited for him. We're really sad for Sam Hall, who's done his ACL for the 3rd time, last week. And that guy, I remember when I first took over the job, I was watching just old film of games, and one of them was a development league grand final, and I was like, who's this big brute in the ruck? Like, he just gives everything, 1st, 2nd, 3rd efforts, just so desperate. And it wasn't until midway through this year, he's coming back off his knee, that I finally got to coach him. He came back into the seniors before he was ready, but we just needed him, and he came in, he gave so much to the team. It was a pleasure to coach him. It's really sad now that at his age, his state league career's probably over. We're going to miss him, but it's more of a spur for the boys who are still there to get the job done, for guys like Hawley and Pidge and Daniel Joseph and Harrison and Chris McKnight and Trad Duggan. We went through that list. They're all heart and soul players. They're all guys who'd give anything to be playing this week, so it adds an extra responsibility onto the guys who are out there, and we want to make sure we do the job right.
And if there was one element about Lauderdale that concerns you the most, what would that be?
Lauderdale are a great team when they are winning ball and moving it quickly. So you've got to match them at the source, and you've got to be able to make them go the long way home. Because if they sort of get that corridor movement happening and get it quick, they're set up so well forward, and they understand each other really well forward of the ball, that it becomes very hard for your back line. So there's not a lot of secrets for either of our teams about what we do, but it's the team that's most switched on to, 1, win the ball, but 2, then negate the other team's strengths, and whichever team does those 2 things best will probably win on Saturday.